to Copperhead Customs. Today we're back on our 1928 Oakland. If you want to see what we do, then you better stick around. So if you are new here, this here is a 1928 Oakland Roadster pickup. This started life as a four-door tourer way back in 1928. Yeah, that's right, 1928. That makes this 95 years old. Now, Oakland was one of GM's higher-end products. Back in the day, Oakland was the main company and Pontiac was basically a cheaper version. But in 1931, they stopped making Oakland. In 1931, GM decided that they would drop the Oakland brand and instead run the more budget-friendly version, which was the Pontiac. Out of all the GM brands, this was the only one where they dropped the higher-end company for the base model. That's right, back in the 20s, GM decided that Oldsmobile would have a budget-friendly version, Buick would have a budget-friendly version, Oakland would have a budget-friendly version, and so on. All of the others, they axed the budget-friendly versions and kept the main company. But with Oakland, they canned the Oakland, the higher-end model, and just ran Pontiac. So with all that said, it makes this car quite rare. So we acquired this as someone else's ongoing project. That's right, so when we bought this, there was the tub, the doors, the motor, the guards, the chassis, and a few other bits and bobs. And since then, we've fully boxed in the chassis, mounted the Jag IRS front end, and the Jag IRS rear end. We've made the rest of the cab, body, tub, whatever you want to call it. We've made a beautiful crocodile leather interior. We've made all the floor. We've installed gauges. We've installed running boards. We've put this beautiful tub, tray, bed on the back, mounted fuel tanks, pretty much everything else that you see. And it is really starting to turn out. So what are we going to do today?
Yeah, what are we doing today?
Well, I'm glad you asked. So in the last episode, we made these beautiful looking running boards. We also did all the fab work on our guards.
Some people say fenders.
We mounted this rear bumper, but we still had to mount the running boards and the guards properly. But we've had a heap of other stuff come up that I've been extremely busy with. And to tell you the truth, I wouldn't mind having a break from fabrication. That's right, so I wouldn't mind having a break from the fabrication. So today, we're going to do some work on the body. Work on the body? What are you talking about?
What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about, Willis?
Well, today, my plan is I want to paint our door logos on the doors. And I'm feeling that the paint is not quite working. That's right, so if you've noticed the paintwork, what we did is we've actually brushed it on with a brush and also a roller for a textured technique. And you'll also notice all the rippling and rustic that I've had left in the metal to show its age. Also, our patch panels have all got stitched patches over the top, as I wanted it to look old. And I think it all being black, as much as the texture was working, isn't quite fitting the theme with the rippled up metal. So you know what we're going to do? That's right, we are going to hit that contentious person in the room.
Fake patina.
Yes, we're somewhat going to do fake patina, kind of. So a lot of you will hate this, a lot of you love it, but what the plan is we're going to just scuff back a bit of this black paint, burn through into some of the orange oxide primer, and just age this paint a little bit. Now we're not going to go too full on with this, we're just going to do selected areas. And then I think we'll throw our homemade patina juice, which is a concoction I've come up with different oils, wood oils, Danish oil, Scandinavian oil, all these different oils that I make this mist out of, and put a little bit of a satin shine on it. So sit back and enjoy the process and see what on earth I come up with. Okay, so here's the plan. We had this template cut out by the lady that does our t-shirts. It's just out of a bit of like thin plastic film or whatever, and we will endeavour to stick this on and run some paper around the outside for the overspray. Now this does not seal up tight, it is not a sticker, it is just a loose template that gives us a guide. We will then spray different spray paints. We'll use a red, we'll probably dust a bit more black in, but we'll use a red, a cream, maybe even a bit of a blue in in there, white, a few different colours we'll throw in it, and then we'll pull the template off. Then what we will do is we'll go in with the sandpaper or a Scotch Brite even, and we will sort of work the edges. Once it dries a little bit, we'll work the edges to crisp up the edges of everything. We will also do a little bit on the lettering, which will burn through different layers of what the paint we put on, which will then make the logo look very old and weathered. So that's our first step. I will get on with it, and you'll see a different way of doing a logo for yourselves, which could be done at home quite easily without having the skills of being able to letter a brush like a signwriter. I think the end results look pretty good. They're on our other cars, they're on our Chev, and they're on our Bedford, and it's going to be a theme with all of our hot rod builds. We will put our logo on the doors. So with that being said, let's get to it. Okay, so there it is. That's what we've come up with. Now, if you've seen the process was we put the stencil on here, of course. We threw a little bit of it's like cream, it's white birch, it's called. It's like a bit of a creamy colour. Just put a little mist of that down. Then we threw some blue down, heavier in some spots, so we didn't go hardcore on the blue. We just sort of did like a half of the stencil, so like the top edges mainly of the blue, a little bit of a mist on the bottom edges. Then we just did some random black lines in. So as you sand through, you might get a bit of black here and there. We then threw some red down, and then we did the same again with some more black, just the odd black line, and then we put another light coat of the white birch on. And in between, we used the heat gun from a distance. You don't get it close because it will mess with your stencil, but from a distance, we just sort of flashed them off a little bit. So they're like, you can touch them, but you can still feel that they are soft and a bit tacky. Then come in with your Scotch Brite and just ever so gingerly come through and work them until you get your desired effect. Now, as you can see, it rips it. It doesn't sand it off nice and smooth. It actually rips it, like it's smooth to the touch, but it rips the paint a little bit. So you get this texture look in it, and you just melt through the colours, and the colours will kind of, because you've laid them wet on wet on wet, the colours will kind of melt together a little bit. So then you end up with this texture type faded on your patinaed sign, and then it starts to look original. So then what I do is, because we have a lot of overspray, I grab a bit of thinners very, very carefully, because you will rip this off, and just try to sharpen the edges up a bit with the thinners, and then we're pretty much there. So what we've done then is we've then started to sand it a bit. You can see a bit on the top here, we've started to sand. I think I'm going to go a little bit heavier in a few areas, and we've just given this a light little sand just to bring a little bit, as you can see, like a little bit of the red oxide coming through in spots, which I think is not a bad look. And like the top of the door here, well, your arm's going to be on that, so that's going to cop a fair bit. So what we're going to do is that, like the top of this, we'll go back a bit harder. Our top edges, so everything on the horizontal, we're going to put a bit heavier sand on. The vertical, we just wanted just take the top off a little bit, just to try to expose a few little bits here and there to make it look a bit aged. This edge here will probably hit pretty hard. Now, if we go through to the bare metal, don't worry, because what we'll do is we'll hit it with a bit of vinegar or something and get that to rust up pretty quickly, and that will just rust over time, because all we're going to do is oil it, remember? So yeah, a lot of these verticals we probably won't do a lot on. We're mainly going to work on some horizontal parts of the car and some edges, especially edges that would have got weathered. So we're not going to go crazy on it, but we just want to age it a little bit. So anyways, with all that dribble, I think we're going to get the compressor going, and I think I'm going to get the sander out, because it's much easier using a sander than doing it by hand.
It's why I'm easy.
And we will start getting into this sanding on this side, and we'll try to get this side looking like something, and then we'll go replicate the other side. So let's get to it. is your first time joining us here at Copperhead Customs, we generally have quite a few builds going at the same time due to the fact that I have the attention span of a goldfish. That's right, I get bored certain things quite easily, and I like to mix up my work so that it continuously stays enjoyable. So I like to jump from project to project. So this was our main build for a while there. This is a $5,000 budget build. This is a 1938 Australian built Chev that we are building, like I said, for a $5,000 budget. But we took a break from this one to jump on to that 28 Oakland. That's right, we took a break a few weeks ago to jump onto this to get some work done on this. It was only 3 or 4 weeks ago that this was a cab sitting on the ground and a frame sitting on the rotisserie. Yeah, that's right. So in 3 or 4 weeks, the car has come a hell of a long way. Now, we're only going to do a few more videos on this particular build, and then 99% of the fabrication will be done, and we will have a break from this and get back on to that 38. Yeah, that's right. We'll be back on this very shortly, but hey, how gorgeous does this look? Not bad for a $5,000 build, and that's Australian dollars. But hey, they're not the only builds we have going. We also have this, which is a 1939 Plymouth 4-door humpback, and our plan with this is to turn it into a 2-door coupe. Yes, that's right. At the moment, the plan is quite loose, but the plan is definitely we are going to turn it into a 2-door coupe. The rest of it is still up in the air of chassis motor configuration at this stage, but we are definitely going to turn this into a 2-door coupe. And the reason being is I can't afford to go and buy a 2-door coupe, but man, I want one. That's right, the price over here in Australia for a car like this, if it was a 2-door coupe, would absolutely drop your jaw. You could probably nearly buy a house. So we're just going to make our own. And shh, don't tell anyone, but we may paint this one and do a bling build. But hey, they're not the only things we do here. This here is a 2010 Chrysler 300C that we've just picked up from auction. Yes, they're salvage auction because it was in an accident, and we are 99% finished repairing it. So there'll be a video dropping on this very soon. So keep your eyes out on that. Yes, that's right. We don't just do the hot rods. We do normal cars that we build to either drive around in some luxury or to sell. Yeah, that's right. So the videos on Chrysler, the accident repair cars, we will throw in occasionally, and it's more of a just to show you the process of repairing a damaged car and how much money you can save going along those lines. And that's not the only things we do here. We do have a heap of cars that are finished in our collection that are keepers that we cruise around in that need regular maintenance and things fixed. So if that sounds like it might be of interest, stick around and join us. Now you've done the formalities, can we get back to work? Alright, I'm going to make our homemade patina juice. So what we have here is Danish oil, cherry Danish oil, okay? So we're going to put a little bit of that in. Put a bit of a shake. So we've got Danish oil, cherry. All right, let's put a bit of that in. About that much. You see I don't get too fussed with the mixers. We've got some used transmission fluid. Put a splash of that in. This is like a KFC secret herbs and spices. Here we have Danish oil, red mahogany. This puts a bit of a red tinge in our mix, which actually lifts a bit of colour. Bit of that. Now, these is not boiled linseed, okay? We do not use boiled linseed. You can use boiled linseed, but these have a polymer in them, which makes them dry a bit harder and a bit betterer. So, Scandinavian oil now, natural. Put a bit of that one in. And we've got Scandinavian oil, dark walnut. Won't put a lot of that one in, that one's pretty dark. Now, then in here we've got some inox, WD-40, whatever you want to use. Let's pour a bit of that in. That much of that. And we will put a little bit of methylated spirits in. Will do us. I think you meant to use probably terps, but that will do. A little splash of metho. And that, my little friends, is my homemade patina juice. Now you can see it's very dark. You can have a look at that. We might put a little bit more of the natural Scandinavian in. So it's very dark mix, but you will see, if you've been watching the channel, you would have seen when I oil the cars, they come up an absolute treat. Now, so this does dry off in a nice satin finish. If it went out in the sun, it'd be dry tomorrow, 100%. But yeah, basically by tomorrow it should be nice and dry, looking absolutely gorgeous. So we're just going to put a little bit on the rag now, and we'll head back over the other side, and I'll just do a little bit of what I just sanded up so we can see if we are happy with where we are at. Then we'll just put this to the side, we'll continue going, and we'll do this at the end. Here's something to remember. When you do an oil, patina oil, chine juice, whatever you want to call it, linseed oil, and you use your rags to put it on, always burn them, because they can self-combust in your shed, and we do not want that. We are done. So as you can see, it's just ever so subtle. We've gone a little bit harder on the guards, on the tops of the guards there. Now that's just through to the red primer. We actually haven't really gone through to the metal much. So we've just, and like through here, if we get close, it's hard now that I've shined it, but you can just see we've just sort of got some little nibs missing, etc. So I think, as you can see there, that's not a bad angle. We worked a bit of these edges for putting the spare in and out. Now we've worked this edge pretty hard because that's where you'd get in, you'd kick it. Now see here where we've gone down to the metal, that's okay because that will rust up eventually. There's our beautiful door logos, patina style door logos, and we've worked these edges a bit harder and the back edges a bit harder for banging the doors open and closed. We've done the top of this, it would have been weathered a little bit. We've done here a little bit harder because this is where you'd lean your elbow. And up the top here, hopefully you can sort of pick it. It's hard with the reflection, but just a light little bit there, as you can see. A bit heavier in a few spots. Now, because it's been done with the roller, it's all blotchy with it, which is perfect. It's not just all nice and smooth. And like on the back of the tray here, see now, we've gone through the bare metal there. That's good in the back corner, so it doesn't look perfect now, but in a while that will just get a little tiny bit of surface rust on it, nice and slowly, and it will look really good. The same on the guard here. As you can see, we've banged through to the bare metal, so that will actually go a bit rusty. So it should look like, and as you can see, it's pretty hard to tell. As you can see there, I'm just trying to shadow the light. See how it's nice and thin? It's nice and thin through here. So we actually haven't done it a lot. We've just done a little tiny bit. We can always do more if we want later. On the edges, these top edges along here, we've got a little bit coming through. So we haven't gone crazy. We've just given it like a few little wear marks. Is all we've done. A few little pieces on the door there. Same, the edge, getting in and out. On the top here, it's a bit more. Putting your arm on. We did a little bit on the vent here because it's copping a bit of extra weather. So yeah, that's what we've done. I actually think it's really good. I actually think it really, really suits it. So, well, there you go. I think it's turned out really, 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 really well. Very hard to pick it up on the camera because of the shine from the overhead lights. But it is very subtle. It's not like the fake patina that everyone does. It's just lightly sanded through our top layer of paint into our undercoat in a few random spots just to age this paint a little bit. Because, like I've said, I didn't do body work on this. I wanted this as a rustic looking original type, maybe like Survivor nearly. I just wanted metal finish. We did it with the roller. We were just going to leave it with the roller, but I actually think this looks really good, just sanded through a little bit. And our door logos, well, you're looking at yours over there. I think they look good, and the weathered paint matches our weathered logos that we do. So I'm actually really happy with the look of this car now.
Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you.
So we got to get on to doing the guards and the running boards in the next one, finishing all the mount brackets for that. And then we're nearly at the home stretch. We need to mount the nose cone and radiator. So basically at that stage we'll be at the point where we are ready for plumbing, wiring and suspension work, new bushes, etc. It's not that far away, is it, guys? So a couple more videos on this. Like I said, we'll take a break, jump back on that beautiful looking thing. Controversial, I suppose, with the fake patina, but I think it's turned out an absolute treat. So with that being said, thanks for watching, and we will see you next week.